Ben Savage, and her first convention appearance ever, Danielle Bishop. I can't sit in front of you guys. Are you kidding me?
What?
No, you guys sit up here. You guys sit up here.
Oh my God, Ben did that.
Hi guys.
Where's your?
Here's one. And Will has two.
Are you sitting on one, Will?
Ryder doesn't have one.
Will?
We need one for Ryder.
Will, you have the other one.
Sorry, I had the other one. Maybe.
Yo.
So what's up?
So are you guys excited? First appearance together at a Comic-Con. This is absolutely insane.
Hi guys, thank you for coming out.
So, and then Ben, this is kind of like your backyard, right? I mean, Chicago. I mean, like, right?
Well, I was born in Chicago, yeah. So, Chicago people.
Yeah.
So I'm where in Chicago?
I love you, Ben.
My family is from Glencoe, Highland Park area, for anyone who knows the North Shore. So after the con, I'm actually going to spend a few days in Chicago. So anyone who wants to meet me at a Cubs game or Sluggers or maybe get some pizza. I just got really hungry.
And then Danielle, I have to ask, are you a little nervous about this? I mean, this is the first Comic-Con appearance ever.
Yeah.
Are you excited though?
I'm really excited. Actually, the day has made me feel a lot better because I was a little nervous about it before I came, and Will, who has been prepping me for a long time, was like trying to be helpful, but then he'd be like, Danielle, everybody is so nice, and he was telling me all these great things, and I was like, awesome. And they'd be like, only one time, and then he would tell me a horror story, and my eyes would get really wide, and he'd be like, but most of the time it's wonderful.
Yeah, everybody's really sweet except that one guy.
Except for that one guy. But then I got to meet so many people today, and everyone's been so lovely, and it's been a really nice experience. So I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm so glad to get, and thank you so much for coming out and making this opportunity special for everybody. And I will say, I'm a huge Boy Meets World, Girl Meets World fan, and this is literally the only.
Why are you behind us? Like,
That's
sit
where you guys,
there or there.
That's where you guys sit.
I think it's like almost like a super intense therapy.
Are you?
I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time.
Are you sure I can sit down right here? I mean,
that's a little too close.
You can come sit with us. You can come sit with us. Come sit with us.
Well, why don't we do it? We'll do a 50-50. Oh no, I was kidding.
What? Thank you.
Wow, Ben.
Well, don't you feel like we're more part of a team now?
I do. Oh.
So
I started shaking a little too much at that point. But I was going to say that the Boy Meets World and Girl Meets World are literally the only TV shows in the entire world that make me cry. Like, it's seriously, like, I love the show so much, just the evolution of the characters throughout the entire show and the touching subjects and just the camaraderie. Seriously, so thank you all so much for making such a memorable and wonderful part of my entire life. Not my childhood, but my entire life. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate that. Now, I'm not going to take up too much of the time. Let's go ahead and get to some of these fan questions right up here. So let's go ahead and start off to our right, the guy in the blue shirt.
Hi.
Can you hear? Oh, there. All right. What were each of your reactions? How do I phrase this? Oh, what was it like working with William Daniels?
First of all, what's your name?
Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
do you ever hear an echo? Echo?
Echo. Will, I think Will is of us on stage, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Will is the closest to Bill. We actually discussed this a little bit. That too. But also, so Will, why don't you talk about your experience first?
Yeah, it was amazing. He was I'm using past tense in that when he was on the set, he was one type of person. When he was off the set, he was another type of person. And now he's a completely different type of person. all looked at Bill. I mean, I don't mean to speak for everybody, but I think we all looked at Bill. I mean, he is the consummate professional actor, especially when he was with us on the set. He never treated us, or at least myself, I'll say for me, because I don't know how he treated you guys, but never treated me like I was a kid. It didn't matter that you were 15 or 16 or 11 or 12, you were a professional actor. So you showed up on time, you knew your lines, he was a wonderful man, a great mentor. He could be harsh at times, never in his words, but he might give you a glare if you were starting to joke around a little too much or something like that because you were at work and this is what you did. Becoming a professional actor, I almost think you can have no better type of mentor than someone like Bill, because he was from the old school. You know, it was, you're not there to screw around. It's a job. You take it very seriously. You can have fun, but this is something that is your career. So, and then you get him off the set and he'd start telling you stories about growing up in Hollywood, and he was a child actor himself, so he knew the stuff that we were going through. He's a remarkable man, and I think we're having lunch with him in like a week. So he's a great guy. He and his wife live near us, and they're awesome people. He's great. And for the thing that we thought was funny was, before every show, they would announce us all coming out. And they'd say, all right, let's get to know the cast. And they'd say, you know, he's done this, he's done that. And then they'd get to Bill, and he's won 2 Emmys for St. Elsewhere. And the audience, who were all kids or younger, were like, you know, politely clapping. And, you know, he was on Broadway for this, politely clapping. He was in 1776, politely clapping. He was the voice of Kit in Knight Rider, and the whole place would go crazy. So that's kind of what we saw him as. It was like, he's Kit. That was
our executive producer's name is Michael, and that was when I realized who he was, because I had no idea who he was. I thought he was from England. I was like, what's the accent? And I actually asked him, I was like, are you from London? And he's like, no, it sounds like that, doesn't it? I'm like, yeah. But no, during our note session one time, he just said Michael's name. It was like, now, Michael. And I'm like, I know that voice. Yeah.
He was a great guy, but he steals. Next.
You know, and the funny thing is, you were saying that Bill won 2 Emmys, but Ryder and I won a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award. So
Still got it on my wall. Wow. I got that orange one. Very proud.
Was it Best Duo?
Best friends, best TV friend. That was one of the scariest
Wait,
experiences of my life.
You picked Best TV Friends category at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
All I'm saying is 2 Emmys, or
you can watch. I think the videos online somebody posted. It was the entire Hollywood Bowl, and Ben and I were like, okay, you say this, and then I say this, and we and they announce it, and we walk out there, and we're both just deer in the head. Like, what is going on? Because they're just kids, and they're screaming. It was so fun. It was just like, and you watch us, we have no idea what we're doing.
That's awesome. I took second in a pie eating contest that year.
I won best hair in high school. So.
Yes. Yeah.
We all have our things, you know. We all have our things. 2 Emmys.
We're like orange blimps right now. Like,
I have mine. It's actually a kaleidoscope. The award you can look through. Yeah.
That's
Little
cool.
orange blimp. Yeah, it was like
They should all be
Now I
other
want
things.
one.
Yeah, like the Emmy should also be, you know, like it's also a ruler. Like they should also have other stuff. Yeah.
that's smart thinking, Will.
Right, I'm
Let's-
telling you.
Let's go ahead and get over here to the Red Power Ranger.
The Red Ranger over here.
Okay, so my question is really for everyone. It's was Boy Meets World always meant to be a show that I guess kind of grew up with this audience?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, no, I think that was Michael's intention. I think he really wanted to do a story that didn't talk down to kids, that really spoke their language and really seemed like the real experience of a 12-year-old child and his relationship to his family and what it's like to have friends and what it's like to feel different and want to fit in and what it's like to meet a girl. And I think that was what he was aiming to do, and I think he just did it better than other people, because I think that's what a lot of kids shows are trying to do. I just don't think as many people are successful at it as Michael was at writing it. And you know, obviously that everyone was very talented at bringing those characters to life, and we grew with the characters too. I mean, that was the other thing that I think our writing staff did so well, is that the changes that we went through in our own lives, they incorporated into our characters. You know, Topanga started off as being a real flower child, and as the years progressed, she became a little bit more like Danielle. And that was just to help us really know our characters more. Ryder was always dark and brooding. Angst. He was our poet.
I had this weird realization to your question when the movie Boyhood came out, and like somebody actually cut to the trailer music for Boyhood a series of scenes from Boy Meets World, and it was like, oh, so they followed this kid as he grew older every year. I'm like, that's a TV show. Yeah, that's what we were doing. But yeah, we definitely, I mean, we grew and changed, and our characters kept changing. And I think the show overall also just became more dramatic because it kept building such momentum that the tone of the show, it's just, by the end, it's like a full-on drama, you know?
For you guys, I was still the dancing monkey.
Yes. That's true.
It was like, you guys had one show, and then it was like, and now here's Will! We're gonna put him in a couch! Like, okay. So,
Which doesn't reflect him at all.
Not at all.
but it was funny, because Danielle's right, we did grow and become more like our characters as the show went on. Ben?
I'm just echoing what they were saying, but I think it's also kind of lightning in a bottle where you have an enormously talented cast, and I think they all grew up so well, and I think, you know, no matter how a show is planned, you never know how it's going to end up, and I think it was talent, it was hard work, and it was probably a lot of luck as well.
Great, well said. Right over here on the other side.
Hi, my name's Alyssa. I was wondering, I have two questions. First, what were some of the hardest challenges growing up and just diving into those characters and really becoming them?
Some of the challenges of growing up.
Just becoming those characters and acting them and, yeah.
Well, becoming the characters, I think this is what Danielle was saying earlier, but I think the writers, and I think that is the sign of a good writer, but they were really adapting to how we were changing personally. So I think there was that aspect that on Boy Meets World, our characters were growing as we were growing. So, I mean, the first few episodes, or the first season or two of Boy Meets World, it was about me or some of my character storylines were about squirt guns and girls were icky and this and this. So obviously it changed, but I think the writers did a nice job of writing to that. I also think that the 90s were a little bit of a different era. We didn't have social media. We didn't have all these immediate reactions and fan reactions to what we were doing.
The front yard or the side yard?
Backyard!
The backyard.
It's the side yard.
It's the backyard.
The
and
side
we all
yard.
know
It's
it.
technically the backyard, but even the creator of the show says it's the side yard.
But he wrote in the script the backyard, so
It's the side yard.
the backyard. Anyway, I'm glad we all
So
agree
obviously
it's the
the
backyard.
backyard.
Good night, everybody. Have a
You
good
mean
day.
it's not the backyard neighbor, it's the side yard.
It's the backyard.
It's the side.
The backyard.
Where's the front door? Where's the front door?
It's exactly.
To the left? You walk through the house?
Well, first of all, can we all agree that the architecture makes no sense
Makes
no matter
no
where
sense.
it is?
Sure.
Where
That
you
is
done
true.
whatsoever.
We don't know. Where did the
Yeah.
trash cans go? Not a clue. But
Yeah,
it is
no.
the backyard.
It is certainly the backyard if you believe that, but you shouldn't because it's the side yard. No, it really, the architecture makes no sense. It makes as much sense as having two little sisters play the same part.
Four fathers.
And four
three mothers.
fathers and three mothers.
And I had a sister that disappeared.
Yeah, and
so.
our little brother who was in one episode was the baby being born, and 4 episodes later he was like 14. So yeah,
You also had a sister.
I had a
was
sister
never
that disappeared. I
mentioned.
had one brother who disappeared, and then Matt Lawrence was another brother.
I just kept casting brothers and sisters. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, it's a very,
To answer your
very
question,
realistic show.
side yard. Over here.
Good afternoon, Miss Michelle, Mr. Friedel, Mr. Strong, and Mr. Savage. An awesome last name, by the way, from a Mr. Battles.
Ooh, nice.
I just have one question. Even though it's been over 20 years since the original Boy Meets World had almost
Thank you for reminding us.
I'm sorry, but
phrase it like that.
I'm sorry.
You heard him. I can hear most of that.
But what was like?
Over 20 years since you people have been on television.
I just want to
Where
add.
you been? Go ahead.
Anyways, my question would be like.
His last name is Mr. Battles.
My question is that like from being in the roles that y'all played, like what are some like memories from the show that you still have like to this day, like a couple of your favorite moments of working on the show?
There's a lot. Can I, real quick? To be totally honest with you, the things that I remember most about the show are not the show. The things I remember most about the show are being with them behind the scenes and growing up with them. And for the year or two we were in school together. They were in school longer, but I was there for a year. I mean, Ryder and I went to Europe together when we were like 17, 18. It's things like that that I remember. So I love the show and I'm so proud to be part of the show, but my favorite memories are memories of these people together, all of us. Those are my favorite memories.
I lived the furthest from where we worked, everybody, and...
This would happen, by the way. We can make it so Daniel.
By the way, now put a camera on and tell us to start acting.
Yeah, right. And action.
Come on, guys, gotta go. It's just a disaster.
Ben and Ryder kind of lived near each other, and so my mom eventually got to a point where she was like, I don't want to take you to work today. I couldn't drive, so she would drive me to one of the two of their houses. And my mom's always early everywhere, so I'd always show up like 30 minutes before we needed to leave. And I would sit.
Oh my, dude, I'm a little nervous.
I have so many memories of just sitting
In my driveway?
so awkwardly in like the front part of his house waiting for him, or in Ben's mom's living room, where she'd come out and be like, do you want water? Because I was waiting for Ben to get ready so we could leave. Oh my gosh, I would just always be like, all right.
That was good memory. Good memory. So basically, Ryder and I are prima donnas. We take forever to get ready.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Literally, I was
I guess
thinking
I
about
do-
memories, and those were the ones that just sitting in the living room. Your mom would say like, do you want to watch TV? And I'd be like, nope. And literally just sit there in a silent room.
You didn't even have a cell phone.
No, cell phones didn't exist. There was
So what
nothing
would
for
you
me to
do
look
for
at.
that
I
happen?
would just sit and stare at the wall.
There was a quiet reflection time.
So, that's one of my favorite memories.
I think I can speak for all of us that probably the most cherished shooting memory is doing the Halloween episode,
Yeah.
the Scream episode, what we call the Scream episode, which is, somebody pointed, it's not even, That is by far the most fun I've ever had on a set in my life. And all it did was piss our director off so much.
Because it was what Danielle was doing.
That was
times
us.
7.
We were just...
For a week.
You know the scene where they do the camera pan from all of our faces and we're all like kind of looking guilty? We had to stand in a semicircle and we would all be looking at each other as the camera was going, so we get to see each other going, oh my god. And so by the time the camera would get to us, we'd be dying laughing, and we did it so many times. And it's the only time I can remember in 7 seasons where a director came out to us and just said, let me know when you're ready to work! And then stormed off, which unfortunately for him made us all crack up laughing. It was like probably the most disrespectful thing we could have done, but we got it
It's also because he
together.
was such a nice guy that we'd never heard him do that before.
No, he had never.
So it
he
just
was-
came off as funny.
It was just funny. It was shocking.
Oh man, that was a funny episode.
Oh yeah.
So your question?
No, I just want to say one more thing. Best kiss when Topanga pinned Corey to the locker in the first season, kissed her around the neck. Best moment.
He doesn't
Mic drop.
He doesn't want to discuss it. He's out.
Doesn't need to.
I think he was more excited about that kiss than you guys.
Jump over here.
Hello, can I get on this cool last name thing? Because my last name is Zapp.
Nice. Mr. Zapp, Mrs. Zapp?
Yeah, my name is Heidi Zapp, Z-A-P-P.
Oh yeah, that is such a superhero name. Heidi Zap, love that.
What do you have on your head?
I'm a Dalek. They're antennae.
Are they cups?
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
Like,
We can use your imagination,
Sorry.
Danielle.
I have no imagination.
Those are cups.
Are they
Does
cups?
not look like a real
Flying
I'm
fire power.
You are a human being, and you should act like one.
Those
You are a
magic.
human being with cups in your
Mrs.
head.
Zap with the magic ear power.
it's Miss. I'm not.
I'm
Go for
Miss.
like a lead balloon in a con.
Just go around.
Plastic cups on your head.
Just go around commenting on people's thoughts. Let's get a video of that.
So
You're lovely antenna.
Ms. Zap. Ms. Zap?
So Boy Meets World covered a lot of really tough topics. What were some of kind of the hardest episodes for you guys to film?
Ryder joining a cult.
For one
You know the
episode.
crash of cults in the 90s. It was a
Ryder becoming an alcoholic for one episode.
Who join cults.
That was a very tough episode. They sprung that on us. God, I remember we didn't even have the script for the table read. They were printing it out and handing it to us while we were doing the table read. And I got that monologue where I like discovered God and Mr. Turner's it was. And I remember just being terrified. Like, what? This is like a drama suddenly. And yeah, that was a hard episode. I remember that.
They always do that at you though, where it was like, if there's any subject that needed to be delicately done, it happened to Sean for one episode. Domestic abuse, alcoholism, occult, one episode, it happened to Sean.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, well, this is in the news, so it's gonna happen to Sean. That's how it was. So funny. I played Eric, so none of the episodes were. I guess putting Tommy up for adoption. See, because that's a great tax write-off. But no, I mean, again, I honestly believe we all were on until the last couple years when we were in college and we kind of became like a young friends. We were really on two different television shows. Like the three of them had kind of this. It was either a love interest or it was dramatic, and then it was Eric and whoever either he was dating at the beginning. So it wasn't really kind of a character for Eric at the beginning. It was just like, you're gonna walk in and you're kissing a girl, and every week you'd be like, hi, I'm Will, and we're making out all week long. That was just my part until I got so goofy that they started to write for that. And it still was two different shows. It was these guys would have this dramatic kind of television show. Dawson's Creek was really big, so again, Sean was an alcoholic, and then it was like, and here's Eric sneezing the lottery numbers. Like, it was just two completely different kind of experiences for us on the show. So there was the occasional dramatic episode. Anytime, by the way, I tell people this and it's true, anytime you see an Eric-centric episode, especially where he's got like a dramatic storyline, that's because that was the week Ben has his SATs. He would have his SATs and that was Eric's week. Like, it was like, yes. So yeah, that was, everyone's like, oh, was it hard to get into character? No, for me it was hard to put on the makeup sometimes, that was it. But it was Eric, the Eric show, and then it was Boy Meets World is how I looked at it. It was two completely different things, I thought. So yeah, they did a much different show than I.
But we love Eric.
Oh yeah, Eric was great, and he had a heart of gold, and it was, I loved Eric too, but it was like, that's why they brought in Jack, because then we had kind of like the two, it was like you'd cut to Eric and Jack, and it wasn't until we got older that they started to put us all together. And that's really where I thought we all really gelled as a cast, was towards the end we were all in college. Now by this point somehow all kind of the same age, which was, I thought funny, but we all then got to be in all the scenes together, and then we had episodes like The War and stuff like that where we were all working off each other, and that is really where I thought we gelled. But until then it was really like two different shows.
Did you feel like it was two different shows in Girl Meets World too?
I only did 3 episodes, so this is gonna.
Well, I mean, they're important episodes.
Yeah, but not the. I think the 3 that I did probably weren't as important as the 85 the other people did. So I think you should ask them about Girl Meets World.
We'll go ahead and get to the next question. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm really short.
It's okay, I feel ya.
Are you Hufflepuff?
Excuse me?
Are you a Hufflepuff? I can't see from there.
Oh no, this is Gryffindor.
Oh, you're Gryffindor. Okay,
Yeah.
I can't see from here. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah. I actually have 2 questions for you. The first question is, you used to say Phoenix.
segue back to the last question about Girl Meets World, which nobody answered. By the way, we just went right past that.
Nobody said anything, so I kept on moving.
Very strange. But no, but that's where the Feeny call came from.
And then my second question is, the last scene of the show was very emotional, and it seemed like the emotions were really genuine. Like, can you give me your thoughts and feelings as you were filming that? Like, what were you feeling? What were you thinking?
Are you trying to make us cry right now?
Oh, no, I'm not gonna cry. No.
If you cry, I will 100% cry.
Yeah, it was surreal.
No way.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was just all us being exactly what we were all really feeling. I was already going to New York myself. Like I was going to school in New York, so I knew I was going to be moving out, and the show was ending. So like there's no filter between Sean and Ryder, 19-year-old Ryder at that moment. It was like that was me living my life and saying goodbye to Bill and these guys and just.
Yeah, we were really emotional that week, and then on top of that, kind of like to what Will was saying about how Bill could be a little harsh. He was obviously a very nice man, but he was extremely professional. So unlike the way we all were, unprofessional, we joked around a lot. We went over to each other's houses. We like had dinners together. We laughed. We talked about personal stories. We didn't have that experience with Bill. Bill was definitely like the grown-up in the room, and we tried to be on our best behavior with him, and sometimes we got out of hand and he would let us know we were out of hand. Excuse me. So to have worked with him for 7 years, and then to be having this, like, he did kind of feel like a teacher. He did feel like that role in that moment where now we're saying goodbye. And so, yeah, the emotion was 100% real, and he was emotional. So us seeing him be emotional where he never was emotional, he was always so stoic. To see him that way made all of us cry.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry, another short person. This question's directed at Will. As your character, if you were to run for president today, what platform and who would your running partner be?
Who would I run? Who would my?
Who would run with
my
you?
running? Okay,
Yeah.
well, first of all, the idea of somebody as crazy as Eric becoming president. I mean.
Well, Trump's president, so
I didn't say anything. I just said the idea.
Just saying.
Yeah. Again, the thing that was amazing about Eric was his heart. So I think he would have a shot because I think Eric would be that guy that would go from house to house, store to store, and win each person over, like, personally. Would be, walk in and they always talk about, well, you're going to go to this store down the street and you're going to eat pie with the regular people. Eric would have been there already. He would have been cooking and doing it. So I think he's got a great heart, and I think he would make a great president. As for a running mate, Plays with Squirrels. He would be Plays with Squirrels would be tough. That'd be tough to play.
That would be a great show.
Yeah, who knows who was running mate? I think he'd want somebody a lot smarter than him to anchor him for the way. So to what? Oh, Ethan Suplee. There you go. Yeah, he could have. Frankie or Joey would have been great. But yeah, I think Eric would have made a great president.
That was a great question.
Thank you.
Over here.
Hi, my name's Brielle.
Hey, Brielle.
So, you know how when you have a dream and somebody does something to you in the dream and you get mad at them when you wake up? Did you guys ever have that, like, in the script? Like, somebody would, for example, okay, Corey kissing Lauren on the senior ski trip. Were you really mad at him? Because I was.
That's hysterical. Was I mad at Ben for what his character did in the
Are
script?
you mad at each other? Because we were furious.
You were mad at me?
I was furious.
Sorry.
I was furious.
Oh my God.
No, I don't think that, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I think it probably is safe to say, I don't think we ever were upset with each other for anything our characters did in the script. I think sometimes we would go, this seems out of character for one or the other of us to be doing, but, and I mean, certainly when you work with somebody for 7 years, we've all individually had personal issues that have come up, as they normally do, and we've always confronted them and dealt with them as friends and individuals. But no, I honestly, I don't think I ever thought about it that way. But that is a very funny way of thinking about it, like as if it were a dream. That's cool.
And also for the record, it wasn't Ben's fault. It's what they wrote.
I know it wasn't his fault. I know she totally kissed you. I saw it. I was like zooming in on the lips. Seeing if the lips would come through.
Traitor!
It worked.
Traitor!
I was on both sides.
Thank you. Right over here.
I was going to ask about your relationship with Bill Daniels, but someone
Change your
already asked
question.
that, so this is going to be the backup question, so it's not good. When I look back on Boy Meets World, and I can say this because this is a Boy Meets World panel, I think that this show had a lot more lasting value than maybe a lot of other shows of the same time, because obviously it was hilarious, but it was a lot more than just a funny sitcom. It had a lot of really important moments that showcased like really strong, like loving relationships between the characters. One thing that I always think back on, I was just telling my wife about this recently, and I don't know why, but it's in like season 1. Corey tries to win the geography bee and he fails, but then he ends up doing well on his geography test, and Josephine pins the test up on his bulletin board and says we won, you know, and I that's one of my favorite moments in the show, because it showcases such like a validating relationship between the characters. So my question is, when you look back, I mean, are there any moments that you can remember that stand out to you as being like, oh, this sets apart Boy Meets World from other shows of the time?
Great question.
Great setup.
This was your backup, huh? Wow.
I found it remarkable when the NFL kneeling for the national anthem, and people started sending out clips of an episode where Danielle Topanga did this whole thing. It was a debate about, and it was like, well, this is still relevant. Oh my God, we're still discussing this. That was a really an eye-opening moment for me, that Boy Meets World, it ages well, you know, like and that's kind of crazy. I really didn't expect that personally. I thought the show, because like Ben sort of said this earlier, but we felt like nobody was watching the show while we were making it.
I always tell people it felt like we just taped it for our grandparents.
Yeah.
Like this was just something
and
that was going to go on. Yeah.
Because we had no feedback, you know, we had no way of knowing that. And our ratings were okay, but like Sabrina the Teenage Witch would cream us in the rating. It followed us, and it was always the show. So we were just like the intro to that show. And so we got to do whatever we wanted. So we kind of felt like we were, you know, just playing in the sandbox. And then when the show ended, I remember just being like, wow, I'll never hear about that again. It was just sort of, you know, that was fun. And so the fact that it's lasted this long is just wonderful. I mean, that's why coming to these events and getting to meet fans and just be like, oh wow, like, you know, how many people, even today, like 2 people have come up to me and said I became a teacher because of Boy Meets World, and it's like, yes, that's so awesome. Like, you know, I don't know, that doesn't really answer your question, kind of talked around it though.
I was just gonna say, I don't think we ever did it like, oh, we're doing these lessons, we're doing these episodes because we're better, or, you know, we have more of an impact than the other shows we're against. I think it speaks to a larger, maybe, statement about creativity and art, which is that if you do something that you're passionate about and you really put yourself into it, and just kind of put your heart into it, and whatever happens, happens. But again, I think it was lightning in a bottle, and I think all of us, you know, put ourselves into these characters and, you know, gave it our all every week. And except when I had my SATs. But I think if you put your heart into something and you're passionate about it and you just put it out there, you know, and people respond to it, I think that's more of how it unfolded, rather than, oh, we're making something that's, you know, different here.
I just want to say, I see a lot of people graduating, tweeting, all that stuff. You see dream, try, do good everywhere. And I think that's one that still resonates with me. And occasionally I'll think of those words where it's just like, oh, I'm not sure I can actually do this. And it's like, no, I'm going to give it a shot. I mean, it really, so those little moments like that I thought really kind of stuck out.
That was a great back question.
God, his first question is probably amazing.
It probably was.
Like we're doing Bill Daniels.
Most like we're going to Bill Daniels.
We have about 10 minutes left, so we'll try to get to as many more as
Really?
possible.
10 minutes left? Really?
Yeah. So right over here.
Time flies.
Hi guys, I'm Amber.
Hi, Amber.
I heard or I read somewhere that you guys actually had a lip sync Backstreet Boy dance. That you would.
Cue it up, guys. 1, 2.
Wouldn't that be funny?
I wouldn't even remember how to
the
do
lights
it.
went down and like this whole
They had just been waiting
Amber's
for
like
you to
clearly a
ask.
plant.
Amber, on the 8th question, he's gonna say 10 minutes left. And
Meanwhile, I've been prepping for this for 3 months.
We
Hours
did.
of-
To answer your question, Amber, we did.
So which song was it?
I want it that way.
That
Yeah.
way, yeah.
Awesome. Do you guys remember any of the movies?
I honestly don't. That's.
Yes, I do.
Do you really?
No, it was a bit that we would do in front of the live audience, and we would always make it look like it was spontaneous. And the rhythm of the beat, that it was Ben wanted to do it, Will wanted to do it, and then I refused to do it. And then Matt Lawrence, who was like actually a really good dancer, and singer. And then we would start the bit, and then I would like come in with like a round off flip flop. Ben would rip off his shirt. He would rip it. Right? It was
Throw it to the audience.
Throw it to the audience, and act like he was mad. It was a whole.
Yeah. It was a lot of
There's
fun.
video of it somewhere.
There is.
Last part of that question is, do you think you would ever get together and do a lip sync battle? In that case, any applications for friends? Who wants to be my friend? I'm desperate for it. Okay. I'll actually, if anything, replacement. I would already have Danielle's name, so.
Oh.
True. I
meet people.
Yeah.
I meet people. I bring pizza.
Ooh.
That's
Wait, what are we
very
doing
sweet.
here? Are you? Wait, what happened? Am I being replaced, or are you auditioning to be our fix?
You seem very, very, very nice, but we've already got a Danielle.
And I'm a handful.
I'm not that much of a handful, but I do bring pizza.
That's sweet.
I
So
mean-
does Danielle.
Damn.
Yeah.
We're gonna stick with Danielle.
Hey guys, I'm Rachel.
Rachel!
Sorry. Just came out. Sorry.
So my question is, if you had to pick one of each other to be stuck in an elevator with, who would you pick and why? Like Danielle, if you had to pick one of the guys, like who would you want to be stuck in an elevator with?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough question. I'm gonna say Ryder. I would be stuck in an elevator with Ryder because Ryder and I seem to have the kinds of conversations that can go from very, very surface, just super fun, to very deep and personal in a matter of minutes, and then turn around and go right back to laughing about something. And so I think that's what you would need to weather the storm of how long am I going to be stuck in here. So I'd pick Ryder. If he doesn't pick me, he's going to feel really bad. Now he's just going to have to say me, just because. But I promise I won't be. I'll look this way.
I would pick Will. But not for what you guys think, which is that it would be very funny and he would make me laugh.